You can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
The Early Line with Mario and Musso. Mario and Musso have your early line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I mean, we're just here to have fun and win and have fun by winning.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Mario Jerez and Matt Musso.
And a good Tuesday afternoon. Welcome in. Matt Musso alongside Mario Jerez. To my right, we have your early line. Michael Patel, Taylor Sharp on the audio and video boards today here on Early Line. Glad you're along for the ride. We got College World Series action going on right now. Texas A&M leads Notre Dame in the top of the third 2-0, threatening to add more. Second and third, just one out. Notre Dame is going to Jack Finley, their ace freshman reliever, out of the bullpen to try and stop the bleeding here in this game. We will talk to Rafael Esparza at 2:30. Plenty to talk about with Rafael, whether it be the Stanley Cup final between the Avalanche and the Lightning. That series now 2-1. Whether it be Major League Baseball, a jam-packed slate there, and College World Series. I want to get Rafael's thoughts again on SEC versus the field. Now that the field's been whittled down a little bit, he favored the field the first time around. I think that might change a little bit here the second time. How are you, Mario?
Yeah, he's about to have no choice, Rafael. Doing well, man. Lots going on in the world of sports. Very pumped for the show. How are you, man? You seem to be in a very chipper mood today.
Look, we're getting closer to Friday, which means we're getting closer to me going on vacation. Look, the closer we get with each day, probably just the more chipper and improved the mood will be.
Musso on vacation. You're always 100 miles per hour, man. You do your job so well, both as a host and as a producer. I would love to see what a chilled out Musso going to a couple days of vacation looks like.
Normally just there's a drink in the hand.
All right.
That's normally the go-to way to relax there.
At least one drink.
To start. That's to start it off. To start off the show, we'll go how we do every day with our daily spread.
Daily. Our daily spread. What are Mario and Musso watching tonight?
I'm talking about big money. Real big money.
This is our daily spread.
All right, let's get it started with some Major League Baseball. You know the play. No runs in the first inning. I like this one. This one has some value. I really couldn't believe the price at minus 125 when I laid eyes on the Philadelphia Phillies visiting the Texas Rangers. 7:05 Central, Kyle Gibson versus Martin Perez. You look at Kyle Gibson, 12-1, no runs to the first inning on the season. That includes 9 straight and a perfect 5-0 record on the road. In 49 first inning batters faced, the opponent hits just 170 off of Gibson. He has walked just 2 and has a strikeout to walk ratio of better than 6-1 in the first inning. Martin Perez, he also sits at 12-1, no runs to the first inning on the season, including 11 straight scoreless first frames. 49 first inning batters faced for him as well. The opponent hits just 196. And the one run that he has allowed in the first inning this season was unearned. So the ERA still sits at 0 for the first frame. The Phillies, they have totaled a first inning run in just 2 of their last 10. The Rangers are significantly hotter. 4 of their last 5 first innings have resulted in a run. But tonight, we put our faith in Kyle Gibson and Martin Perez at a great price. This bet is not this play. No runs in the first inning. Not for the weak of heart. It's always a sweat. Phillies Rangers minus $1.25. No runs in the first inning.
We like it. I was randomly thinking about the Rangers yesterday. They were so close to winning the World Series against the Giants around like 10 years ago. I think twice they were 1 strike away, but couldn't get it done. Unfortunate for Josh Hamilton and the crew.
They're doing a little bit better these days, there, man. They're actually above 500.
Glad to hear. Got to make it back out to Arlington, one of the few Major League ballparks that I have been to. Anyway and anywho, I'm going to keep it in the world of Major League Baseball for my first play here, and I'm looking at the Cardinals' money line. Speaking of good prices, plus 105, the money line for St. Louis tonight against the Brewers. 7:10 first pitch, and I know Milwaukee is hot right now. They've won 6 out of their last 8 games, but Jack Flaherty is back in action for for the Cardinals, and this is going to be his second outing of the year as he's trying to round back into form. He's aiming for at least 75 pitches in this one, and he's still working his way back into action, but he's a beast when he's healthy and he's in a groove. And also his bullpen is rested going into this game. Big advantage for the Cardinals. For Milwaukee, on the other hand, this season has been really difficult in terms of injuries to their pitchers because Aaron Ashby is hurt now. He now joins Brandon Woodruff and Freddie Peralta on the injured list for Milwaukee. So tonight, it will likely be Chichi Gonzalez who gets the ball, which is not a great scenario, not a great name for my man either, if we're being honest. But he has an ERA of 7.71 on the season, and it's just not a good pitching matchup for Milwaukee. Like I said, I know the Brewers are playing some good baseball recently, but they've also won a lot of close games in that stretch. And strictly because of the pitching matchup here, I do like the Cardinals on the money line against the Milwaukee Brewers tonight. Good
play, man. The Cardinals, they've also those two teams are competing for first place right now in the Central in the National League. So they came into this series tied. Brewers took the lead there with the win last night. Cardinals looking to even it up. In Omaha tonight, Arkansas faces Auburn. The Razorbacks favored minus 145 on the money line. The total in this one now sits at 13.5, set for a 6 p.m. Central first pitch. And I want to talk total here because this has been one of the more interesting things to watch in Omaha this year. We all know the history of this park, whether it was TD Ameritrade or now Charles Schwab Park in Omaha, whatever you want to call it. We know the history. We also know that the ball is juiced this year. So it was going to be something to keep an eye on regardless. But what has surprised me is even with the wind gusting in from center field, I mean, at 20 miles per hour at times, and the home run ball being scarce, the over has had the advantage in the College World Series this year. And that should not change tonight, especially since for the first time all tournament, the wind is expected to shift and blow out of Charles Schwab Park. These two offenses, they've been on fire in the postseason. Arkansas has now scored 78 runs in 8 NCAA tournament games. You look at Auburn, they averaged 17 runs per game in the regional round, battled through a tough Oregon State pitching staff in the Supers, and took Stanford to task yesterday to the tune of a 6th spot. The only team to stifle these two offenses in the postseason has been the Ole Miss Rebels. They aren't playing the Ole Miss Rebels tonight. I expect more runs tonight and a favorable atmosphere for it. I'll take the over 13.5 between Woo Pig and War Eagle.
All right, Musso has thoughts on the total. I'm going to have a few thoughts on the side here. I'm taking Auburn on the money line. And before I tell you why, just a little bit of background here, because this is a huge game. Obviously, the winner of this one will face Ole Miss at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. And during the regular season, when these two teams met the first time, Arkansas won 2 out of 3 games against Auburn. And both of these schools have posted wins in the NCAA tournament against Stanford, faded the trees to lots of success over here, and they both suffered losses to the aforementioned Ole Miss Rebels. And this is going to be a good pitching matchup. I really think that today they will indeed go with Will McIntyre for the Razorbacks. 1-2 this season, 2.81 ERA and 11 starts. Looked really good against North Carolina his last time out. 5.2 scoreless innings in that 4-3 victory over the Tar Heels. And we talked about McIntyre, I did, on yesterday's show, and I was honestly a little surprised that Arkansas went with Zach Morris yesterday. He was not saved by the bell, and he had a bad outing.
Yeah, he couldn't find the strike zone early in that game. I mean, just recording 2 outs. That's not what you want in a 1-0 game there.
But here's why I like Auburn. They're going with right-hander Mason Barnett, who's been really good as of late, 3-2, 3.98 ERA, and the Tigers have won 3 out of his last 4 starts. And this is a team that's very resilient, Musa. You know the story. I think they deserve a lot of props. They're dealing with a nasty stomach bug right now. Multiple players have spent way too much time on the toilet, but they've had to persevere. And they did so by winning their first College World Series game since 1997 against Stanford yesterday, 6-2, and the books really have not respected Auburn. Musso. They have not been named a favorite since the regional round, including tonight, and this is something else that I thought was cool. After Auburn lost to Ole Miss on Saturday, head coach Butch Thompson busted open the books and made a call for help, but not to bar rescue, to some fellow coaches that he thought might be able to help him, because he knew that only 4 teams have won a national title after they lost the first game in Omaha in the last 40 years. So he reached out to 2 of the coaches from those teams, Oregon State's Pat Casey and South Carolina's Ray Tanner. And Tanner, who won the title back in 2010, told him that baseball is a game of failure. Can't be afraid to fail. You can't wait for something to happen. You got to make it happen. And Auburn has made it happen, including yesterday against Stanford. All kinds of obstacles that this team team has had to overcome, and I really respect that Butch Thompson did that. Always good to get other perspectives from people that have been in your situation, a very unique situation after losing your first game, and I really like what I've seen from Mason Barnett. He's been big for Auburn lately, and it seems that whenever the stakes get higher, things get harder, Auburn seems to play better. So I do like Auburn in the game against Arkansas tonight.
It's going to be an interesting matchup, man. You hope that it's a competitive game. I mean, the College World Series, for what the regional round was, what the super regional round was, all the drama, all the close games, the comebacks, the late inning drama, the College World Series has just kind of been a dud. I mean, you have had 10-2 scores, 17-2 scores, 13-5 last night. You haven't had that same level of carryover. Hopefully Arkansas and Auburn can give you that tonight. I really thought you'd see it last night in Ole Miss and Arkansas. You didn't, but we'll talk a little bit more about that game as it goes along. I'm interested to see kind of a little bit later on as we get closer to game time what money comes in on Arkansas and Auburn and maybe pick a side after that. But for right now, definitely on the over.
Makes sense. I just think, look, I'm a little worried about Auburn's bullpen. They're worn out, which might be the case with a lot of those teams that we're seeing get blown out here. But I just really liked what I saw against Stanford yesterday, and I do like Auburn to win the game.
6 p.m., Auburn and Arkansas. That's our daily spread. College World Series, some Major League Baseball for you. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Rafael Esparza still to join us a little bit later on at 2:30. Coming back next, though, a little bit more College World Series talk as well as a note from the NFC South. Stick around. It's Early Line, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, the Early Line. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. LSU safety commit Maurice Williams will be with us, and the latest on the transfer portal in baseball. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back to the show. We will talk to Rafael Esparza in the next segment as we go out to Las Vegas. Lots to discuss, lots of news in all the sports, and lots of games to preview as well. We will recap one of those games right now as Ole Miss gets another win, 13-5 against Arkansas. Got that pick wrong on the show yesterday, and maybe I underestimated the Rebels a little bit. And it's crazy just kind of the turnaround you've seen from this team, Musso. Everybody knows the story. The last team to even get in the NCAA tournament, and they started the season 7-14 in SEC play. On the year, they only won one SEC series at home, but we talked to Ben Mintz on the show yesterday. We talked to him on OTB this morning as well, and he was saying that finding starting pitching for Ole Miss has been key down the stretch here, and that's been evident. And something else that Mitzi pointed out is that Ole Miss has not lost since its encounter with the Vanderbilt Whistler during the SEC tournament, and the Rebels are now 7-0 in the NCAA tournament after being the last team to even get in, and this team is on fire right now. They will get the winner of Arkansas and Auburn tomorrow, and Ole Miss right now, very hard to pick against.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, obviously finding the starting pitching was massive for them. You had to replace Doug Nikhazy. You had to replace a Gunnar Hoagland. And you thought you were going to be able to do that with Drew McDaniel and Derek Diamond. That didn't work out. And you were kind of, mulling along until you moved DeLucia and Elliott out of the pen. And Hunter Elliott is just next in line at Ole Miss. But even more than finding the starting pitching for them, it was Kevin Graham coming back in the lineup. I mean, when he got hurt, that's a huge bat out of the middle of your lineup from the left side that can hit for average, can hit from power, and that even hurt their offense. Getting him back obviously helped a lot, and everything fell into place. That's the guy who hits behind Tim Elko. That's the protection for the captain in your lineup. So it makes a lot of sense how they've come on here strong, and they're better than Arkansas right now. Right now, Ole Miss is a better baseball team than Arkansas. I was very surprised to see the price on the Rebels yesterday, and it's going to be tough for anybody to really come back and beat them twice. And the bullpen, they're playing so much better as a whole right now. Though the bullpen has really come on strong down the stretch for the Rebels as well. They very much have a little bit of a team of destiny feel to them, and they jumped on Arkansas early last night. A 2 spot in the first 3 innings, and they never really looked back.
Reminds me a little bit of what we saw from Moose State last year, and their fans are about to be really peeved if Ole Miss does indeed pull this thing off.
Yeah, it does. I mean, but even so, I mean, the difference with Mississippi State last year was Mississippi State had the best pitching staff in the country. They were really good the entire way. Ole Miss was 7-14 at the beginning of May in conference play. They were 7-14. They actually just lost 2 out of 3 to that same Arkansas team. They were the last team in the field. But that's baseball. Sometimes you figure out what you're missing throughout the year, and it comes together. And right now for Ole Miss, it has. They could always hit. The pitching has really come along, and you've also probably discovered your next ace in Hunter Elliott.
Rebels look spectacular right now. They will get the winner of Auburn and Arkansas tonight. And speaking of spectacular, Rob Gronkowski had a spectacular NFL career, and Musso, as of today, according to him, it is over. This was broken by Jordan Schultz at Schultz_report on Twitter, who says that Rob Gronkowski told him that he is indeed retiring. 4 Super Bowls that he won while earning a spot on the NFL's 100th anniversary team and the 2010s All-Decade team. All-time great tight end hangs him up at 33 years old, his Jesus year, and it makes sense. He already got the ring with Tampa Bay and with New England as well, and you could tell Rob Gronkowski, his body's just kind of wearing down. He still looks dominant in spades during these seasons presently, but definitely not the player he once was. that being said, it is a big deal in my opinion for Tampa Bay because he's been huge for them in the playoffs, and they do have some players that are going to try to fill in. Cameron Braid has had some decent seasons over the years, but at least as of right now, Tom Brady's effort to try to get Rob Gronkowski to stay playing in the NFL is not successful. Gronk has hung him up.
So I still want to wait and see. I mean, I get it. But we've also heard from Rob Gronkowski himself before that he's retiring, and it hasn't happened. So if he's not in training camp with the Buccaneers in August, then I guess I'll officially believe it.
And to your point, his agent also said that he would not be surprised if Tom Brady calls him during the season to come back and Rob answers the call. That's from Drew Rosenhaus, who's Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski's agent.
Exactly. So when I look at it, though, I mean, this is not something that's going to make or break Tampa Bay's season. Like, this is not something that they're not all of a sudden not a contender now. Like, they're still very much a Super Bowl contender. It's a tight end. Is Gronk a veteran? Yeah, that's great. Does he come up big in the playoffs? Yeah, that's great. But he's a tight end. Like, it's not anything that's going to impact a win total or expectation on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, nor should it. I mean, you've still got guys at that position. I mean, Cameron Braid's been pretty good. Is he Gronk good? No, but Gronk's a Hall of Famer, right? We understand that, but it's not anything that changes the opinion, my opinion at least, on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, if I was going to look at their win total at 11.5 right now today, I'd still say, yeah, they're probably going to go over that.
Yeah, it's not just Gronk, though. I mean, it's a series of everything they've lost this offseason. The starter on the offensive line, Rob Gronkowski. I know they still have Leonard Fournette, but Ronald Jones was a really good player for them as well. And having that complimentary back to Leonard was really huge. And I still think Tampa Bay is good. They're still my pick to win the NFC South, but their roster is not as good as it's been the last couple of years. And Rob Gronkowski isn't the sole reason for that, but he definitely is contributing to it.
They have a really good defense still, and they have number 12. I mean, that's Tom Brady made a career in New England of winning with average players. I mean, call it what it is, really, right? I mean, he had Gronk. That was great, but I mean, how many times you go through the list of, Tom Brady never had like a Pro Bowl receiver or whatever the stat was. Like, he's made his career on doing more with less around him. It's part of the reason he wanted out in New England, but he'll be able to survive with what they still have in Tampa Bay. Like, as long as they have that guy, they're going to be really good. And I'm, like I said, to start the whole thing, I'm still not overly convinced that Gronk does not come back.
Yeah, you could see him. He's done it before. 2018, he retired, and then he unretired. But I'm just interested to see if they can't replace him if he does indeed retire. And we know they made some moves this offseason. Mike Evans will be back healthy, and Russell Gage is on the Buccaneers now, coming off a really good year with the Falcons. And this team is going to look different, but as you said, at the end of the day, they still have Tom Brady, and that's why they're going to be favored to do really good and go really far. And defensively, I do have some questions. We talked a little bit about the acquisition of Akeem Hicks, and I don't know if you've seen Ndamukong Suh lately on Twitter, but he seems to think that he's not going to be back with the Buccaneers. It sure as heck looks that way, and I'm interested to see if they don't make some moves before the end of this offseason here.
Yeah, man, wouldn't it be great if Ndamukong Suh ended up in the black and gold? I mean, I think that's what everybody's going to have their eye on there. It does certainly seem like he's out. I mean, the addition of Akeem Hicks there for Tampa Bay as well. So he's still a productive player. I mean, he's not the first rounder he was when he came into the league, right? But I mean, you look at Ndamukong Suh, and I think you still see a lot of value there.
Rob Gronkowski has hung it up, at least for now, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Go vote on our Citizens Bank poll the day today. Who is the GOAT NFL tight end? Is it Rob Gronkowski, who just retired, Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, or Shannon Sharp? Vote on today's Citizens Bank poll of the day. We will answer it at the end of the show. For now, we will break, come back, go out to Las Vegas, and talk to Rafael Esparza, see what he thinks of the Bucs losing Rob Gronkowski, and see what he thinks of all the action on deck tonight in the world of sports. This is The Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
With Supreme Chevrolet.
Louisiana's country station.
100.7 The Tiger.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but two NMEA certified techs. Family owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years. Front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Poor boy raised amid turn-of-the-century New Orleans, Louis Armstrong became one of the most recognizable people on Earth. Visit dropbiscuit.com today and check out the trailer to our first original series, Pops, The Louis Armstrong Story, starring Reno Wilson. Subscribe today. You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here on Early Line, head out to Las Vegas, 2:30 on a Tuesday. That's what we do, and that's where we find our guy, Rafael Esparza, DocSports.com, mybookie.ag. You can follow him on Twitter at VSI.Sports. Rafael, appreciate the time as always. How are you on this Tuesday?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
We're doing pretty good. Plenty of stuff flying around, whether it be the College World Series, a packed Major League Baseball slate, the Stanley Cup Final. Still plenty to keep an eye on here, even though it is June, and most people look at that as a downtime in sports. I did want to start with Omaha again. Last week when you were on, before the College World Series started, we asked you SEC or the field, and how would you put odds on that before the series? Now, there's been two teams eliminated, Stanford and Texas. Still 4 SEC teams remain. Same question. What would your odds be on SEC versus the field?
SEC would probably minus 1,000, especially with Texas A&M up 3-0 in the bottom of the fourth. So I would say that Notre Dame slipper will probably come off today in maybe a couple hours.
A&M leading Notre Dame right now 3-0, bottom of the fourth inning. Later game tonight, we have Auburn going up against Arkansas. The winner will face Ole Miss tomorrow. The Rebels look unstoppable right now, but when it comes to this Auburn-Arkansas game later tonight, who do you like?
I like Arkansas. I think they just got the better bats, so I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. This one opened up at 12.5, and there's actually a shot that just moved it to 14 maybe a couple minutes ago. So I think we're going to see a lot of offense. But I agree with you. Ole Miss has to be the big favorites. I love the way they've been playing, both pitching and their offense. A lot of small ball early, so I think they're going to be a team to beat.
Speaking of big favorites, kind of switching sports, the Colorado Avalanche were big favorites coming into the Stanley Cup Final, and it showed in those first two games, winning the first two at home, dropping last night 6-2. Looking at game number 4, the total caught my eye, Rafael, because the total right now I'm looking at most books set at 6. Each of the previous 3 games have gone over that total right there.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably – I think game 2 should have stayed under 7-0. That one junky goal that Colorado got to move it to 7-0 was something. And then you look at game 1 was overtime, 4-3. Tampa Bay at home, they've only held the Rangers, I think, the 3 goals in their home games. I can understand why they put 6. If you put a 6.5, I think the wise guys would jump all over the under. And the over bettors probably wouldn't bet as much as they would because of that half a puck that's on there. So I totally understand why they keep on putting it at 6 and just moving the juice around.
Rafael Esparza is our guest here on the Early Line, talking NHL, Stanley Cup Finals. When it comes to the side, who do you like, Avalanche or Lightning in Game 4?
I think with maybe goal controversy now in Colorado, if they're 1, who's going to start the game? I have to give it to the defending champs. I think Tampa Bay evens it up and they go back to Colorado.
What about for a series winner? Are you still leaning Avs in 6?
I mean, the books are probably happy that the Tampa Bay is going to win this one so we can maybe lay off some of that future money that we're buried on Colorado, but I still think Colorado 6.
You know who's not happy? Anybody who's had to work with Kyrie Irving in the last 3 years. And I'm kind of excited. This is the first time we get to talk about this on the show this week. But apparently Kyrie and the Nets are at an impasse. And it might be really hard to make the money work and move Kyrie. And he might have to stay in Brooklyn. But if you were going to make odds for Kyrie Irving's next team, what would those odds look like?
The next team, maybe the doctor's office, and maybe roll up his sleeve would be the heavy favorite. But he's going to be a net. I think that's why I haven't really dove into where would he go next and stuff like that. I'm more curious to see where these other names are going to go. Bradley Beal is probably going to stay at Washington. A lot of rumblings last night with Rudy Gobert maybe going to Chicago. They re-signed Levine. That could be something to look forward to if you're a Bulls fan. If those two happen, that'd be something interesting. But you said it correctly. I think he's going to probably stay in Brooklyn.
Are you looking forward to anything in particular when it comes to the NBA draft this Thursday?
To be over with. It's probably what I'm. I mean, the NBA draft is not like we see the NFL draft. I like some head-to-head matchups. I'm going to put up ones, maybe Johnny Davis or versus AJ Griffin, who gets drafted first. There's some prop bets. I do like AJ Griffin draft position over 11.5 under. I think he goes under. I think he goes either 12 or 13. I mean, there's nothing really substantial when it comes to NBA draft like we see in the NFL draft.
Let's talk some Major League Baseball, Rafael, because we have a jam-packed slate here on this Tuesday, and every single game is a night game. None of that matinee stuff today here in the bigs. Anything specific jump out to you tonight in some of these matchups?
Maybe the Pirates-Cub game to go over again because the Pirates lit up Cub pitching yesterday. So the total's 9, and Matt Schwarmer is on the mound for the Cubs. I think he cut my hair last time I was in Chicago. So, yeah, I have no idea who this guy is. So I'll take the over on that one. I think the Angels bounce back tonight, 2 against Kansas City. They lost last night 6-2. The Halos, I think they bounce back. And I think that game goes under as well, 9.5. Kansas City has trouble scoring runs.
Switch gears here, Rafael. Talk a little bit of NFL. Looks like Rob Gronkowski is calling it a career, at least for right now. His agent is hinting that maybe he's not totally retired. But what do you make of Rob Gronkowski hanging it up, and how big of a deal do you think it is for the Buccaneers?
I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think they have 2 tight ends. I think they'll be able to spread the ball a little bit more. And you said it. Unless it's week 1 and he's not in the jersey, then I'm not saying that he's retired. So I don't hold anything against Brady and Gronk when they're retired. Unless it's that they're week 1 and both of them are not in jerseys or maybe in the stands or drinking or televising a game, I don't believe that they're retired. I don't think Gronk is retired. This is something maybe he wants more lines in the Subway commercial. I don't know. I don't think he's done.
I agree. That's what I said. Let's wait till training camp rolls around in August, see if Tom Brady hadn't gotten back in his ear and convinced his buddy to come back for one more season. Rafael, the next time we talk to you, one of the great events in American sport will have taken place. That, of course, is the Nathan's 4th of July hot dog eating contest. I see you have some props up there at mybookie.ag regarding Joey Chestnut, whether it be total hot dogs eaten. It's a pick 'em at 74.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his record. I don't think he beats his record, but it should be interesting. His record is 76. You can bet no at -260. So I think he wins. There's no one even close to him again. That's going to be around. I'm more interested in watching the females. Nikki Sabuto, will she beat her record? We put it 50.5. Her record is 50. So if she goes over to 50.5, that will be her record. So it's always, I love watching the hot dog eating. I would call these guys athletes more than I would call NASCAR athletes because these guys have to eat in 10 minutes.
I mean, it's impressive. But Joey Chestnut was actually here in Baton Rouge last year for an eating competition over at Fat Boy's Pizza.
Oh, yeah, he made T-Bob look like a fool.
Well, I mean,
I remember that.
T-Bob makes himself look like a fool a lot of the times. That's why we love him. I am curious, though, what goes into the research here and putting odds on the hot dog eating contest? I mean, are you going back watching tape? We watching past hot dog eating contests?
Well, this contest has been going on for over 70 years, so there's a lot of tape on there. The first winner won by only eating 8 hot dogs, so it's not like this is something brand new, but it's a lot of tape. I mean, the American Eating Association, they have their own website. It's fantastic. You should go on in and see what the world records are. for how much mayonnaise eaten in 5 minutes. There's a whole bunch of great records that's out there. I highly recommend jumping on it. But it's a lot of research when it comes into these eating contests. I enjoy doing them. And like I said, these guys train their bodies. They're not like fat guys that we used to see 10, 15 years ago. These are all like well-fit guys. They're either trainers and stuff like that. So I would consider these guys athletes. Joey Chestnut should be in the Mount Rushmore of sports, right next to Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, because he has a lot of mustard belts.
I respect Joey Chestnut. It sounds like y'all are honestly a little bit more pumped up about this event than I maybe am, but something that I am pumped up about is this weekend's USFL playoffs. And just like mybookie.ag has odds for the hot dog eating contest, they do have some lines for the games this weekend, and the New Orleans team is in action, Raphael. The Breakers, who have been favorites most of the season, are 5-point underdogs against the Birmingham Stallions. What do you think of that matchup, and how much are you looking forward to the first USFL playoffs?
I'm looking forward to that game. This is an evening game, and can we get more than 19 points? Because the last time these two teams played, I think a couple of weeks ago, Birmingham won 10-9, so I want more points. I like Birmingham. I think they have the best defense in the league. I think New Orleans at the same time can struggle, especially in the red zone. I think Birmingham wins this game. And don't forget, the USFL championship game is Sunday, July 3rd. So you have July 3rd football, July 4th hot dogs.
Yeah. Hey, man. America.
Right?
Hell
yeah, exactly.
There's not much. Doesn't get much more American than that. In the spring football. How about that? Rafael Esparza is our guest. DocSports.com, mybookie.ag. I'll follow him on Twitter at VSI He's with us every Tuesday here on Early Line. Rafael, we appreciate it as always, and we'll do it again next week.
Take it easy, guys. Have a fantastic week.
You do the same thing. How about that, man? The hot dog eating contest. He
Crazy.
loves it. I mean, he was into it.
Yeah, I mean there's some real thought, real attention to detail going into this handicap, and there's some serious preparation going on from Joey Chestnut right now. I mean, some of these numbers, my God.
I mean, Joey Chestnut to set a new record, which would be 80 or more, plus 900. Yes, gotta take a flyer on that, right? All the guy does is set records when he goes to these things.
Why not? At that price, you got to do it.
I mean, come on.
And I want a hot dog now.
Hot dogs are great. Notre Dame, the Irish, they are down 5-0 to Texas A&M. Mario, it's a difficult truth that we didn't want to face here on Early Line, but I think it's over. I think the run is over. We've been backing Notre Dame for a long time. We've officially hedged the bet in the last break. Got A&M live on the run line at even money, -2.5. That's looking pretty darn good now. I didn't want to have to do it. It was a great run. I mean, we hit with them in Statesboro. We hit with them in Knoxville. We hit with them against Texas in the first game in Omaha. But I think it's over. I think it's done.
I think so too, man. Credit to you. You were on there from the beginning. You said they should have hosted, which they didn't. They kind of breezed their way through the regional and the super regional, and they looked pretty good for a while there. But it looks like Texas A&M has them a little bit lost in the schloss. Looks like the Aggies are going to go on here, and the rest of the country can go back to hating Notre Dame.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, that's true. My month as a Notre Dame fan is now over. We're done with that. Probably never again unless, bets dictate it. But I'm a little sad. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little sad.
I don't blame you, man. Like you said, it was a good run, and now back to defending Brian Kelly's dance moves.
There you go. Yeah. No, absolutely. So A&M leads 5-0 over Notre Dame in the top of the fifth. The Irish to the bullpen yet again, as that's it for Jack Finley. Of course, the winner stays in Omaha. The loser goes home, which looks like it'll be Notre Dame. So now, if you're the Irish, your main focus should be keeping Link Jarrett away from Florida State. That should be their main focus because he's building something in South Bend, that is for sure. We're going to grab our final break of the show, come back and close out a Tuesday edition of Early Line next. It's 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
The Early Line, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder, Her doctor connected her to an Auctioner care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioner Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
My own people call me an Uncle Tom. I play music. Been wined and dined by royalty. Trying to bring people together. All people. But regardless of all that kind of stuff, I'm still Louis Armstrong.
Here's the man you're waiting for, the king of jazz, Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar.
Jimmy out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at the original Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up the show here on a Tuesday. Only a few shows left for Musso before he heads off to vacation. Looks like Rob Gronkowski is on permanent vacation from his NFL career, at least according to him. He announced his retirement earlier this afternoon, so that brings me to today's Citizens Bank poll of the day. And the question posed to the audience was, who is the GOAT, greatest of all time, when it comes to NFL tight ends? The choice is Gronk, Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, or Shannon Sharp. And the winner of the poll, somewhat surprisingly to me, was Tony Gonzalez with 40% of the votes. Rob Gronkowski coming in second with 35.6%. Antonio Gates, 13.3% of the votes. And Shannon Sharp, 11% of the votes. He might name search his name and talk about that with Skip Bayless tomorrow, but we'll have to talk about that another time. Jacob Hester commented on the poll results and made his opinion known. He tweeted out a gif of Antonio Gates, his former teammate. No surprise there. Got some really good tight ends on this list, but I think Tony Gonzalez is the right choice for what it's worth. Played from 97 to 2013. Owner of many records when it comes to tight ends. Made the Pro Bowl 14 times, and I'm in agreement with this. I would say that Tony G is the best tight end ever playing in the NFL.
He was really good. He also caused us a lot of pain when he played for the Atlanta Falcons. So for that, I'll go with Antonio Gates.
Makes sense.
He was also pretty darn good, too. So, I mean, look, there's 3 Hall of Famers on that list. You can't really go wrong with any of them.
No, Rob Gronkowski has called it quits, at least for now. We'll see if he stays retired. Transitioning here really quick to some LSU baseball news, Musso, because we've had a lot of it in the last couple of days. 2 coaches leaving, Fitzgerald and Kelly both, but LSU has also made some additions when it comes to the transfer portal, and today Jack Pineda has committed to LSU, and this is somebody you know well, Musso. Out of Baylor, he hit the go-ahead 2-run home run against LSU back on March 6th. He was Baylor's shortstop and leadoff man, started 105 games over the last 2 years, a good hitter. Hit .313 over that stretch for his average and had a fielding percentage of .966. And he joins 2-time Big East Pitcher of the Year, Dylan Tabraki, who comes over from Creighton in joining the Tigers. And Jay Johnson getting some reinforcements coming, along with the recruiting class.
Yeah, man, you got to like the Pineda signing for sure. I mean, a veteran player at a position of need. Now, I think it'll be interesting to see how LSU's infield shakes out. I mean, on the surface, you obviously look at it and go, okay, that's your shortstop. But, I mean, you have 2 shortstops in this class, in Mike Romero and Gavin Guidry. And yes, you're going to battle the draft for both of them. But if you get one of them to campus, that's another great addition to your infield. So there's still so much to go into that. But Jack Pineda is a fantastic addition. Obviously, what's going to jump out is the defense. I mean, .966 fielding percentage the last 2 years, just 17 errors at shortstop. He's hit he's a 300 hitter for both of those 2 years. You mentioned the 2-run homer against LSU in that Sunday game. He was 2 for 5 in that game. That potentially gives you something at the top of the order where you saw LSU really kind of interchange a lot of guys there this year, whether it was Dylan Cruz or Cade Doty or Josh Pearson. I mean, there was a lot of guys in Trey Morgan, a lot of guys in that leadoff spot. Maybe it gives you a little bit more stability there. Just a lot to like with it. And again, the veteran presence. More than anything. You mentioned Dylan DeBrock. So, I mean, that's another one where we talked about him a little bit when he committed, but it's, what role does he actually play? I mean, who knows? Look, he just posted a bullpen session of his on his Twitter where he was up to 95 miles per hour with the fastball, and it's a 4-pitch mix for him. So, definitely 2 great additions for LSU right there that fit in nicely. I think role maybe still to be determined, but it will be a significant role. Like, I'm not here to tell you it'll absolutely be at shortstop, it'll be at second, or where it will be. But Pineda's going to be on your infield next year for LSU. Just, I think, where remains to be seen. Obviously, again, off the top, you would think shortstop, but there are things that could fall into place where that's not the case.
Yeah, but regardless of where they put him, he has proven to be a good fielder on top of a good hitter. And just on the surface, LSU seems to be kind of addressing their issues in the transfer portal here, pitching and defense, right? And these 2 transfers address both of those said issues. So gotta like what Jay Johnson and LSU are doing at the conclusion of the season here.
And I'll say this too, you still need depth at the infield position too, right? Because, I mean, Brennan Holt entered the transfer portal. He's off to Oklahoma State. Will Stafford entered the transfer portal yesterday. He's off somewhere else. So that goes into kind of like recruiting as well. Even if you miss on Guidry and Romero, which, I mean, look, those are 2 top 60 prospects. It's you're going to be fighting hard to get those guys here. So Jack Pineda is a great stability, great piece to provide stability there as a veteran. But don't be surprised if you don't see one more out of the portal, because you look, I mean, Jordan Thompson, he's going to be a junior this coming season. Pineda's got the 1 year of eligibility. You need depth pieces there. So whether it's in the recruiting class, getting someone to campus that maybe you didn't think you would, or backfilling through the transfer portal after the draft, expect more on the infield for LSU.
Key addition.
And the mound.
key addition for LSU baseball as of now. And speaking of key additions, Musso, looks like the Harlem Globetrotters made one this afternoon.
This is so good.
In their draft. I didn't know there was a Globetrotters
so
draft until today, honestly. But they have selected former LSU Tiger Marlon Taylor to join the Globetrotters, and it makes sense. I remember him at LSU being a high flyer. That's what I remember about Marlon Taylor. Dunk after dunk after dunk. Played from 2018 to 2020. Back in 2019 on the LSU team that made the Sweet 16, he started 24 out of 35 games. So a memorable player in my opinion because he played on some good teams, and every time he was scoring, he was doing so in a very cool fashion. So I think a good addition for the Harlem Globetrotters and Coach Handles.
This is just Coach Handles is so good. I love this, and it just fits. I mean, Marlon Taylor can jump out the gym, man. The Tremont Waters to Marlon Taylor alley-oop just became a staple. I mean, I know we're showing highlights of it right now if you're watching on YouTube, but I mean, you just expected it. It was like air when they would play together at LSU. Well, that guy's going to fit in real well with the Harlem Globetrotters. You mentioned Coach Handles. This quote probably said it all about Marlon Taylor. His wingspan makes him the man.
His wingspan makes him the man.
It's so good. I love it.
Man. Those teams were fun. Early Will Wade era, they made the run in the tournament. I remember Marlon Taylor very fondly. So hopefully I can make it out to a Globetrotters event. You ever checked out the Globetrotters?
I have seen the Globetrotters. Yes, it's awesome.
They're a good
time. They came
time.
to the River Center one time. It was great.
Nice. I like how they interact with the crowd.
Yes.
Check out the Harlem Globetrotters if you get a chance. Marlon Taylor is their newest member. That will pretty much do it for us here today. Stay tuned for After Further Review coming up next with Matt Moscona. This is The Early Line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hi, I'm Skip Bertman. The championship baseball program has everything players